Like 9 hours of constant performance and people pleasing taps you out from social scenarios. After 9 hours of that, I could probably do physical labor. It would not bother me, but I can't do more social.
You know what's funny about this story is that I think that Hasan Piker, quite possibly, both because of his infamy and size and success on the internet, is possibly the worst potential person for this message.
About this internet backlash cycle we saw with Hasan Piker this week. Because it was really interesting to see like how it evolved. And while obviously I hope this is the case with any story that we cover on this show, I'd love if you reserved your comment on this one specifically, if you have a comment to share, until I finish the story. Because the way this whole situation started was with this specific clip of him.
I refuse. I can't wait. Commenting now.
Going viral, which several captioned a variation of him saying that streaming is harder than a real job.
Yes, a real job can be gruesome. A real job can make you very tired, but a real job doesn't suck the soul out of you. You know what I mean? In the same way that 9 hours of streaming absolutely will.
So unsurprisingly, this blows up. Tons of people saying he is completely out of touch with the real world. Content creators are so fucking annoying. People saying they would kill to have a job and lifestyle like his instead of making coffee for $12 an hour. Specifically saying this guy makes shit up for 9 hours a day and his commute to work is walking into his 5th bedroom in his $3 million mansion. But this is others defending him, saying, hey, this clip was taken out of context. And adding, I get that expecting the neets on this dumbass site to understand the nuance of how different jobs drain you in different ways is insane, but oh well. And this is something that Hasan addressed himself, explaining. I was talking about how much a 9-hour stream eats away at my social battery and how I can't socialize after, comparing it to my sales job before. I recognize how fortunate I am every day, with him then including clips of context where he says,
No, social battery wise, unless you're in retail, it's very different. A real job does not expend your social battery in the same way as someone who did a sales job, a real job. Okay. I'm telling you, as someone who did both, like 9 hours of constant performance and people pleasing taps you out from social scenarios. After 9 hours of that, I could probably do physical labor. It would not bother me, but I can't do more social.
You know what's funny about this story is that I think that Hasan Piker, quite possibly, both because of his infamy and size and success on the internet, is possibly the worst potential person for this message. In that, yeah, of course, between like whatever jobs that you have, there's going to be varying levels of difficulty in a whole bunch of different fields. There shouldn't be like gatekeeping for someone being like, oh, this job affects me negatively in this way or positively in this way, for sure, right? It just doesn't make sense why you'd suddenly be like, you're not allowed to talk about anything because you're successful. And then it's like, okay, but is it true that perhaps there's differences in jobs, like between how they affect you? And then everyone's got to start flexing their bona fides, their worker bona fides. So yeah, he may have worked in retail. I worked in construction, motherfucker. I worked in fast food. I worked as a dishwasher. I've had a lot of shitty jobs that I fucking hated. Lots of them. And like, without question, so many of them, those jobs, especially just, they taught me about the Einstein's theory of relativity, and they proved it to me. I didn't need to see a whole bunch of examples. I simply needed to have those kind of jobs where every single minute it felt as if time had completely stopped. Not in the cool way where you have like some kind of power and you can save people's lives, but in the like, holy shit, when is this going to be over kind of a way. That thing. But when it was over, it was over. And absolutely, between doing that and having a job where at any given time, I have the ability to just be like, you know what, I can't do this right now, everybody. Sorry, I am emotionally drained. Stop. Yeah, that's a privilege you got to acknowledge, obviously, right? Because like I've had other jobs where I can't just do that. I can't be like, I'm sorry, boss, but at this moment in time, I simply do not have the social batteries to be able to work and do this job right now. So I'm going to hit the stop button. Yeah. I never, when I stopped working construction or dishwashing, then didn't stop thinking about work, because there were thousands of people who wanted to tell me how much they hated me, and some of them wanted to tell me how they want to kill me or kill my family because of my job of dishwashing that day. That never happened. Not once. No, did not even happen closely. And as you grow larger and larger on the internet, that drain on your mental health, because it's just not normal, or I'll be honest with you, healthy to experience that all of a sudden becomes something that you got to deal with, compartmentalize, if you will, and learn how to both accept that, like, there are strangers who have a parasocial relationship with you who do not know who you are, but they hate you with such an actual tangible, as if they literally like are your lifelong enemy and you've never met before. That obviously takes quite a bit out of you and mentally drains you, and sometimes you just can't stop thinking about it, especially if you have other underlying existing mental health issues. You might just perpetually think about it, right? Like, a lot of streamers have ADHD can usually, if you don't know how to control it properly, can send you into spirals of either anxiety or depression, because your body is doing this feedback loop where it's constantly looking for the same kind of reaction that you would get in the dopamine release that you would get from more extreme activities, which is why sometimes ADHD people can be thrill seekers as well as that kind of stuff. Anyways, to say all of that, it's a lot longer, and there's no, like, a clip is usually a minute, 30 seconds, 15 seconds if it's really clipped out of context. So for what I just said right there, to package and bottle all that up and be like, yeah, of course, it's a dream job to have control in your workplace, to be paid millions of dollars, to have an opinion, and just to react to shit. And on its surface, when someone sees that and you're watching that and you're just like, who the fuck are you to complain about shit? Do you know how hard life can be for the average worker? You're so out of touch. You're just a millionaire streamer who lives in a mansion, who's got this fucking sports car, and you know, all these amazing earthly delights. What do you know about the real world? And it's like, yes, I understand why if someone's going to talk about this is quite possibly the person on the internet whom a lot of people will instantly use this as the opportunity to be like, what? He doesn't acknowledge privilege. No, I'm sure. And once again, you just took a couple more minutes on this video, and then yes, this was clipped completely out of context, as a lot of things are. But there's a lot of points I think that are completely 100% valid. Really big one. The majority of streamers cannot live off streaming. The overwhelming majority of them. Those who do live off streaming, a lot of them do not live very nice lives because of just like the margins. Some people make below minimum wage doing streaming, and then if they have subsidies or other reasons why they can actually like live, or they don't pay rent or something like that, then yes, they can continue to do streaming. But very, very few people make an exceptionally large living or a very, very rich living doing it. And of those people, those are a lot of people, workers, people who are doing this, who do deal with varying levels of what I was just talking about in their everyday. Like, there's a large streaming community of people who do not have an ability to do other kinds of jobs. They could, for a variety of reasons, they could have disabilities. They could have, the inability to, socialize and be around in public scenarios. And so it's a job that fits for them, that they're able to do. A lot of people like them. They find them entertaining, and they can even build like very nice careers. All of a sudden you might have like 40, 50, 100 live people watching you, and then boom, it's like, okay, this could be a viable career path. I want to make it. All of those smaller, lower level workers, and those are the ones that are in the tens of thousands on the streaming platforms, they're the ones that have really hard fucking lives. They're the ones that do have to deal with all of the mental drain that comes from having strangers love you and hate you, in both directions. It can be very weird. It's very weird to have people you've never met before already feel that they have a relationship with you, and sometimes in either direction, whether that be a negative one where they want to actually physically harm you, or a positive one where they're like, I'm in love with you, and I actually, like, I think we're best friends, and I've known you my whole life, and kind of things. So that, yes, that plays very strange with the human mind. We never used to have these kind of powers, right? We didn't evolve and grow up with the ability to mentally have these connections. And people, this is scalable, by the way. People feel this with social media in general. You can point towards the fact that, like, everyone is constantly complaining now how they don't have attention. They don't have attention spans. It's like we all collectively feel like we've been giving ADHD to each other or something like that. That's not what ADHD actually is, but like that, you hear that a lot, right? Or a lot of people are talking about how they're tired all the time, or they're sad all the time, and like no one can really explain this. A lot of this does have to do with the fact that we are all, and we've admitted it, addicted to social media, to phones specifically, to consistently, like, how many times have you been hanging out IRL with friends, and there's actually just moments where everyone just socially accepts that we're all going to go on our phones for, even if it's only for a minute or two, then you all put them down because it's kind of embarrassing, but you're all at a restaurant, you're hanging out, you haven't seen each other in a while, and there's still that like 2 minutes where everyone's just like this, And then you look over and 1 or 2 people are doing it, and then everyone else is like, oh, and then they pull it from them, and we're all just like this for a couple minutes. That's just the thing now. Sometimes it's longer than it should be. Sometimes it's shorter than it should be. But whatever. Oh no, sometimes it's shorter. But like, yeah, that whole thing, that stuff, that obviously is playing into everyone's minds as well, right? I know I'm going on a huge rant here, but I think that like I don't find anything that Hasan said super objectionable. Objectionable. In that like, yeah, of course, like. He shouldn't be streaming 9 hours a day. First off, I don't think that's healthy. I'm saying that as like someone who wants to see, someone who's got a massive leftist platform thrive. I don't think doing that for 9 hours every single day is honestly good for you. Just having seen the kind of hatred that I get on a much smaller scale, doing that for 9 hours, and it would drain you. I can barely speak for 4 hours and be goofy and silly, let alone like 9. Like that's an incredibly large amount of work. And yeah, every single physical labor job I've ever had is much more difficult in terms of its physical toll, and I did not look forward to going into work. I hated waking up at fucking sometimes 6 or 7 a.m. and then going into a fucking construction job and fucking doing manual labor for hours and hours and hours until you get home. And even though you're young, I was young at the time, you'd still feel sore all over your body and like that kind of shit. Like it drains you. It drains you, and it's like not something anyone looks forward to. So of course the idea of having like a job where you just get to sit at a chair in your house, set your own hours, get paid for it, and just talk, like on its surface, anyone who hears that is going to be like, oh, fuck you, you fucking privileged piece of shit, can't even acknowledge the amazing life that you have, right?
That's my point.
We're saying you could compare it to some real jobs like customer service, because those are the ones where you're just always on, that involve the most emotional labor and adding.
Yeah, think about it this way. Like, you give presentations for your job, right? Imagine giving a presentation for 9 hours straight. I'm a profoundly fortunate individual. This is the lottery. Having said that, my social battery runs out after 9.5.
Again, you see, that's why I'm like, this is in theory potentially the worst possible person on the internet for this message. Because it's one of those things where I feel like it's the meme. Well, they hated him because he spoke the truth, and it's like, well, he's actually like, both things can be true at once. He can both be like, just so you know, this is how this experience, this lived experience, me being super famous, super rich, widely accepted as one of the most beautiful internet people. So yeah, I'm not trying to complain about the things that everyone like wants. Okay, fine. It's a great success. Thousands of women would fall over themselves for the chance to date me. Like I have all these millions of money, sports cars, mansions. Yes, on paper, it's all the things you're supposed to want in society. All that can be true. And yes, I won the lottery. I'm incredibly blessed and gifted. And at the same time, just so you know, this is what this experience is like. This is how it feels to have all the things, the things that you're like, these are all the things that everyone should want, to be beloved, rich, powerful, beautiful, to have a show that everyone cares about. And this is how it affects my brain. This is what it does to me. This is what 9 hours every single day of being on here and having tens of thousands, stadiums of people being like, I wonder what he's going to say. I wonder if he's going to fuck up. I wonder if he's going to acknowledge me. I wonder if he loves me. I wonder if he knows who I am. Having a stadium of people just there like this is what it does to my brain, just so you all know. And I'm just explaining that to you. But to say those things out loud, it's like, oh, so what? He doesn't appreciate how fucking rich and famous he is, how beautiful he is. Does he not get it?
Hours of streaming, 9.5 hours of constantly trying to be on, takes a mental toll on my social battery specifically. It's not as physically
This is why people don't have patience for this. Of course, that's what I'm saying. I'm like, this is literally a situation in which he's technically right. There's nothing incorrect about the statements he's making. It's the messenger in this case. The messenger, without question. You're talking about a person who is so like loved and reviled on the internet in both directions. Again, tens of thousands of people are in love with this man and they've never met him before and think they have a relationship or something like that. And other tens of thousands hate him so much that they want to see him dead. Like literally, they're people who are calling for his death in both directions. Such powerful emotions. Like, I don't know if you've ever seen this interview, or maybe, I forget, someone was asking Hasan, why it is that, or like what's it like having like all these people hate you, you know, like big right wingers. And he's like, it's really bizarre sometimes in that like the people online, the accounts who will say like the worst possible things about me will then slide into my DMs and be like, fuck, I wish I could suck your dick so badly. And it's just like, it's profoundly weird, you know, to have someone who in one direction may hate me so much while at the same time have this weird sexual attraction to me, but also just want me dead. Like, it's just like, and it's just a weird thing to deal with. Like, there's no way in any world, I guess, that anyone has any like willingness to listen to like the complaints of the rich and famous. Maybe that's it, right? It's like no one wants to hear the rich and famous be like, oh, just so you know, there are aspects of what I do that are very fucked up that no one can relate to. And it's like, well, yeah, no one can relate to them because no one is as rich and famous as you. So no one's going to relate to them, right? Even if the message is technically correct. Yeah.
Taxing.
So it appears that he's talking about how certain jobs can drain a certain facet of your energy more. And saying, sure, there may be people with a variety of jobs, including some people even in sales, who would argue their job burns.
No, it's not you. If you are a previous sub to thisserfs.tv, please fill out the Google Doc. Go fill it out. We're going to be transferring all. I'm gifting all the subs. I've already announced that. So I'm going to gift everyone a sub who has an old account and you want to transfer to YouTube or Twitch. Please just fill out that Google Doc, and then that way I can go through all the names. If you did already know.
Their social battery. But for him, saying streaming can be a heightened version of that. And so there, like, I understand what he's saying, though I do have a disagreement, although I'm not even sure it's a disagreement. Just like, even with the full context when he's talking about like other jobs, right? People can get breaks. So like, part of the reason I get frustrated with myself whenever like I have complaints about my job is that pretty much all the problems in my life, they are self-imposed. And I am in a powerful enough position at any point in my life to go, I'm going to cut it short today. I'm going to take that extra break. I'm not, most recently, going to work through President's Day. And understanding that from a business owning standpoint, yeah, I might take a hit. I might make less money. And this is, I'm in a powerful enough and well enough off position that I can make that choice. Right? So it's about balance and compromise and making concessions. Like right now, I could be making 3 times.
Hasan has no choice but to stream 10 to 12 hours a day. Like, I honestly, my takeaway from hearing someone say they stream 10 hours a day every day would be to not do that. I don't think that's healthy. I don't think like your voice box isn't made to be doing 10 hours of broadcasting every day. Like even old broadcasters, like, you know, there's a reason why, like, you keep talking about the work ethic of the capitalists versus like Hasan, who's like a leftist. All the Matt Walsh's, the Daily Wires, all those shows, those are like at best a 2-hour stream. You know, like Steven Crowder, it's like a mug club when it goes live to when it's over. All of those shows, they're like 2 hours, and they cut up and cut out so many segments that they upload and then just front load them with a ton of ads. And so that's why when we're hate watching like a Matt Walsh video, it's like he talks about the content he's supposed to talk about the topic for like 4 to 6 minutes of the video. And then there's like 3 to maybe 6 or 7 minutes of ads, and then like some little other tie on that's usually not related to the first part. And then boom, the whole thing is just put out there.
The money that I am making, but I'm not doing that because I know that it will do things to me that over a certain period of time will make me want to jump off a fucking bridge. And I would guess that Hasan is probably self-aware enough to realize that he is one of his own biggest enemies. Like a lot of self-employed people are. And so if it was a big enough deal to Hasan that, you know, his social battery is drained because he has this current schedule and this current thing, then he has the power to change that. So you can understand where he's trying to come from and what he's meaning, but you can also easily see why it might be hard to sympathize with to someone who doesn't have control over their schedule or work. Because I want to do the stupid thing that you do on the internet with having like a nuanced take on something, is that I think a lot of the clips that went viral of him with this situation were taken out of context. They do not include the nuance. But you can also see that while at the same time, while taking in the full scope of things,
I've done 10 to 16 hour streams, some of them 1 hour minimum based.
Because yeah, I took it more of like, if you have a job where you're talking to people all day when you get off work,
and you still have to deal with a lot of the hate,
some alone time. You might not be good at talking with people. If you're a chef and you've been cooking all day, you might want just some fucking toast and beans. You've been working some physical back-breaking labor job. The last thing you want to do is some.
I think the truth is, and maybe this is something that, like, you know, big successful streamers, you know, even if you're at like, you know, my level, which is like a little teeny baby sliver on the internet compared to someone like Hasan, is that like there are things that even if they're true, the average person isn't the average person is going to want to hear them from a messenger who is, again, rich, famous, successful, all that kind of stuff, right? Like, that's just the truth. That hey, by the way, my experience, my lived experience, my working experience is no longer universal, right? Like, this is not something I can set my own hours. I can do what I want. I can stop if I need to. Well, at the same time, yeah, I deal with this really unnatural, unhealthy thing, which is to have thousands of people, want to, kill me or love me or stuff like that. That's like the very mentally unhealthy thing. And that's something that's it's just real. It's just actually part of this job that I never foresaw. And maybe the warning or the messaging of all this, like the important takeaway would be to really advocate for the smaller, and Hasan does this, by the way, but to advocate for smaller streamers, right? Like Lost, for example, is in the chat of Twitch. Go check out Lost, SRUX. He's not a smaller streamer, but he is certainly someone who does not have the levels of Hasan, and has just said, like, hey, by the way, I've worked like a 16-hour stream before, and, not even making an hour of minimum wage throughout that entire time. So it's not exactly for every single person, even if they have, like I've said this before, 50, 75 live viewers. That seems like a lot. Like, that's what you're supposed to get to become a Twitch partner, is 75 viewers, I think, minimum, and you have to maintain that amount. That is not an easy feat to pull off when you're grinding from the beginning, all that kind of stuff. So you're putting in all these hours to try and do this, and everyone's always said, like, well, it's a dream job though, right? Like, you get to do and talk and have an opinion on the internet, and so no one wants to hear any person who's got a dream job complain about their dream job, or complain about just how taxing it could be in general, kind of thing. It's easy on Kick Guy here. Yeah, but isn't it just a cesspool? I mean, outside of the whole thing operates to promote cryptocurrency gambling, which is honestly kind of fucked up. But like, just every other day I see a Kick streamer headline story that's just the worst possible fucking Kick streamer, blah, 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 beating up people on the street. Kick streamer drops every slur that they can in 60 seconds. Kick streamer, like every other day. It's just like, yeah, this feels like people are trying to get away with what if there were no rules? Really, what if there's no TOS? That's Kick.
Probably want to just grab a drink and shoot the shit with people. Or then finally, to like put a little personal touch on this, after a day of shooting the show and filming out deep dives into stories for future episodes, literally the last thing I want to do in my real life is talk.
All you got to do is praise Aiden Ross and gamble for 4 hours straight. I mean, that sounds pretty easy. Echoplex Media, thank you very much for the rating party. Can everyone go to twitch.tv/Echoplex Media and give Echoplex Media a follow back?
Talk about the news. But just like what I think Hasan is saying, this is not me saying my job is harder than other jobs. Do not confuse that, because it is not. This is literally the easiest job I've ever had. Because you know what? My life is not paycheck to paycheck. My asshole boss, that's me. And if at any point I want to stop or change things, I can. And again, I say all this with the belief that a real world job is infinitely harder.
Yeah, and honestly, the thing with this should be that like a takeaway for everybody is that everyone should have that ability. I mean, I don't want to have to get all socialism. Let's talk a little bit Marxism for you all. But yeah, I think workers should own the means of production. I think workers should have skin in the game. I think workers should collectively have democracy in the workplace and be able to make decisions. And that doesn't mean that every single worker has to be a manager. Every single worker has to manage people. Some people don't want to do that. Some people don't want to have to tell other people what they have to do when they have to do it. And some people want someone to tell them what they have to do when they have to do it. And that's why under structures where people do cooperatively own their companies, they can still have decision making and that ability. I think that is something that everyone should have. I think there should be way more worker protection. I think people, when they need to, should be able to take mental health days at any given time. Who knows when something is going to happen? Who knows when out of nowhere suddenly you're going to be like, I can't go into work today. I am spiraling into some kind of depression. I need to go see and talk to someone about this, and have that be reflected and respected in your workplace, and have other people understand that it's better for everybody, especially the company and its health, if everybody is, going to be a co-owner in the very company in which they work. The advocacy for that kind of stuff. So yeah, everybody should have the powers that someone like Hasan does to be able to be, a massive streamer who can decide whether he wants to work, because he loves his job so much, wants to work 9 hours every single day streaming, and then, have a whole bunch of other people, obviously, be able to upload clips and stuff like that kind of stuff, hierarchy is why we have subs and density. I don't know, streaming hard work less, it seems like it would be a hard job to make money at. It's incredibly hard once you're starting out. Like, it's one of those things where I used to want to tell people, hey, here's how we can, I started making these videos on how to be a successful YouTuber or streamer, because I wanted to democratize that and give it to a whole bunch of smaller lefties, so more lefties would want to create content, so there would be more leftist content. That was my idea. But the reality is, so many people suffer so much along the way and then have to drop out because it's so difficult, so incredibly difficult. The amount of hours that you have to put in, the amount of time that you have to put in versus the amount of money you make at first, which is like literally nothing. Like when you were starting it out on YouTube, as a YouTube content creator, you don't make money. And they've made it so much harder than it ever used to be. To be able to get the 4,000, 5,000 watch time hours, that's incredibly impossible to do as a brand new YouTuber that's not like, you know, being promoted by the algorithm and has no social media, no ability to like promote that kind of stuff. So if it's like, hey, by the way, this is a viable career path for a lot of people, you should go out there and do it. The honest answer is it's cutthroat and difficult as hell to break in and then make it that stable enough for you to live off. If you have already support structures, if you say don't have to worry about paying rent for whatever reason, you were you know, you live with your parents, you're gifted a house or something, or you live in some scenario where you don't worry about paying rent on a monthly basis, well then you've been given a huge advantage there, because that's going to be what, like $1,000, $2,000, $3,000 a month that you don't have to worry about. So that money you don't have to get every month in the amount of money you're making from ad revenue and stuff like that. Okay, do you have someone who handles food for you, electricity, bills, internet, the cost of your computer, the cost of the computer repairs, all this kind of stuff, because those are things that you're going to have to start to factor in when you're grinding, because they always tell you about the grind. Oh, you got to be grinding, got to grind set, come on, get those hours, get that watch time, get those views, upload to TikTok, upload to Instagram, upload to this. And so for the smaller people who are trying to do all this, and because it's a dream job, right? Everyone wants to have and get famous on the internet. As they're doing that, they're starting to deal with the initial phases of having people with parasocial relationships with them. So a small streamer, even if they have like 20 viewers, right, especially if they happen to be part of a marginalized community as well, suddenly people start dropping in there and start calling them slurs and start saying, hey, you need to unalive yourself, you know, N-word, stuff like that. And it's like, whoa, that's really messed up. That really fucks with my brain. That really makes my day terrible. Ugh, what a gross feeling to have a complete stranger on the internet drop in there and just suddenly say some of the worst possible things about me. That happens to much smaller streamers, especially people who are part of marginalized communities, on a regular basis, just by virtue of them existing, right? You know, like, hey, you F slur, this, what is this, the gay stream, blah, 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 stuff like that, right? Like that happens to people who can be 5 viewers, 10 viewers. And yes, there are things put in place to try and protect people, and these social media companies are trying to get better, but there's very little advocacy, say, for the mental health of people who are much smaller and starting out, because not a lot of people know who they are yet, right? And so yeah, it's like there is, I know it's a long-winded answer to your question, but like it's just not something that I think anyone wants to hear like a successful streamer complain about, because it's like having a real world job, an IRL job or something like that, where they are consistently and brutally being treated like shit by a boss who doesn't respect them because they are just kind of like a number in a massive corporation, to then sit back and watch a Hasan Piker, who again, super famous, super rich, super successful, mansion, cars, you know, beautiful, all that kind of stuff. It's not a messenger that anyone wants to learn about. Well, okay, fine, but you're saying that it's mentally draining, but you got it all, man, you know?
Than, you know, streaming or making YouTube videos. But I also feel like, given the full scope of everything that he said and the full context clip, this has blown up to insane proportions. But with now all that said, and I thank you if you waited until this moment, I'd love to know.
Well, says the amount of time that I've had people come into my stream and tell me my people's women and kids need to be sexually assaulted and unalived is not funny. That's fucked. That's absolutely and completely fucked. And again, like that's the thing I talk about when people are like, oh, should I, like, my kid really wants to get into streaming, Lance, what should I tell them? And it's like, tell them that it's going to have profound effects on their mental health in ways that you cannot predict or advocate for at the get-go. And as they become more large and successful, that will be also a magnified effect that they're going to have to learn methods and ways of dealing with. And that's the aspect of the job, like any other job, that can be dangerous, right? When you work construction, when I worked construction and when I was doing demolition, and then I would get all of this fiberglass because we would take down drywall, and you'd get fiberglass and stuff in your eyes, and like it would be a horrible feeling. And I remember just being like in my 20s, lying in bed and feeling itchy and stuff, and being like, man, this is a really physically demanding job. I'm not looking forward to going into work tomorrow. I don't want to go into work tomorrow. I don't want to fucking do that again tomorrow morning, but I have to, and this sucks. And that is different than being like, you know, there's no way to tell someone like, yeah, you know, today was just so rough on my mental health that unfortunately I'm not going to be able to perform for all of you as your entertainer on the internet. Like, no one wants to hear that. People just want to watch their, because they think of entertainers in a lot of ways. You start, even if you have like a parasocial relationship, as a 2D kind of figure, right? Like I see you on the internet, or I watch you on TV or whatever it is, and I watch your performance and I watch you as entertainment, and you might give me your opinions on the news and stuff like that. And then I get to turn you off and then maybe watch someone else. Because again, you're just like a 2D static image on the internet to me. And then I can and switch to that. No one wants to hear someone like that be like, but just so you all know, like this job also does some really weird shit to you and stuff that you didn't know was going to happen. No one wants to hear that, right? It's like, okay, come on, entertainer, man. Let's switch to the next channel.
Your thoughts on this in those comments down below. And then on the note of just absolutely horrific, shitty jobs, let's talk about these two things that have popped up. They're starting with a McDonald's in Boston, where on Saturday, a customer allegedly became so infuriated that he punched an employee several times. And as far as what got him so riled up, well, according to police, the worker touched the lid on his cup. But then, like, if you
back when I worked out in the field, at least I got exercise, and I work in construction company's office. I feel like I'm dying at my desk. Yeah, I wonder what would be like. So here's the thing. You know how they say if you love your work, you'll never work a day in your life. Well, that's not entirely true, because I do love my work, but there are days when it feels like absolute work, right? But I'm also kind of an extreme workaholic, you know, for like artistic stuff, and to the degree of like, you know, I put in well beyond 9-hour days. Like sometimes when I'm done, I'll do the stream, I'll do video editing, then I'll do writing, and then I'll start working on video essays, and then also editing other projects, doing mind explosions and that kind of stuff. So like I'm just constantly working, because I'm like, it's one of those things, like it's both, it's something I have to do, it's something I have to like, you know, put out there, but also I do like it. So I like both making it and then having feedback for it and that kind of stuff. Is that possible for everyone? Like, it is an incredibly privileged thing to be like, well, what is it that you like doing? Oh, I'm an actor. You see, I need to perform, and I need people to see my vision and art. And so that's just what I was destined to do. I was born, put on this earth, you see, to act. And that's why I deserve it all. Okay, like I have friends, by the way, who are like, you know, trying to make it and trying to you know, get into one field or another and trying to become actors, and just like none of them are that pretentious or cocky, but on some level you're like, for sure, I get it. I too think like acting's fun. It's fun. It's make believe is awesome. I love make believe. It's fun. It's fun to play. It's just like I imagine you got to be able to do that and something else, right? Like you gotta. Like you work as a bar back or something, and then on the other times you go do the acting, because it would be weird if someone was like, well, no, I deserve to be in a situation where I can follow my dreams, pursue my art, and do my craft, you know. It's nice that he had one stream on once, and he's besides FD. Oh, are you talking about Hasan?
thought that response was over the top, just wait for this one, because it starts off nice and normal.
Complain to your friends, not to your listeners. Maybe that's a good lesson for sure.
Dunkin' Donuts in Florida yesterday morning. Police saying a drive-thru employee gave a man a free cup of coffee. And then, for reasons unknown, that customer became irate, with him then allegedly throwing that searing hot coffee into the worker's face, causing her skin to blister. Which also, side note, why does it feel like so many fast food horror stories involve coffee? Ever since that story 30 years ago where a jury awarded a woman $3 million after McDonald's hot coffee burned her. All the way to more recently, a year ago, this woman sued Dunkin' Donuts after an employee spilled black coffee on her legs, burning 30% of her body. With us hearing her call 911 in agony.
He spilled the coffee all over me. They told me.
Though seemingly coffee has also become a weapon of choice, with stuff like 5 years ago.
I think we're moved on from the story. Okay, well, I learned some things. Yeah, I think ultimately this whole story, because a lot of people are saying, like, it sucks. Multiple things can be true at once. It's just the reality of the situation. One, Hasan was clipped, and that small clip out of context where he wasn't trying to be like, you don't know how hard my life is, huh? All of you fucking ants, you mortals. You mere mortals don't know what us gods have to deal with up here in Olympus. It's tricky. It's difficult in Olympus. Yes, you ants will never know. That's not what it was. That wasn't the statement being made in that scenario. At the same time, there's no way that Hasan is ever going to be a potential, I guess, messenger to a widely accepted reality of, say, the mental health aspects of being famous or rich, because no one cares really about like how much their like super rich famous celebrities are suffering until things go too far. That's just like historically that's how things go. Like obviously people at a certain point were like, wow, we really should probably back off of Britney Spears because we're treating Britney Spears as if some kind of like expendable commodity for our entertainment, right? And then just this mass like, what is she doing today? Did she fall over? Let's see what her crotch looks like. Is she on drugs? Is she not on drugs? Does she have mental health issues? Hey, the paparazzi are getting inside of her face right now. And then it just keeps on going and going to a certain point until everyone's like, whoa, this is really messed up that she's in a conservatorship and has no control over her own autonomy or life, and that her own father is the one who's controlling her. That's messed up. I think we went too far. Hey, Britney's free. This is awesome. We freed Britney. Good. You know what? Good. Absolutely. It's just yet another case of, someone being manipulated, especially a woman being manipulated and controlled by men. This is a story of liberation. We're happy that Britney Spears is free. And then all of a sudden it's like, she's dancing with some knives though. Yeah, maybe I was a little quick to say that she's should be in control of her own autonomy as a woman. It does seem like she's got some pretty deep mental health. She's dancing with the knives, right? And, well, they're not real. Oh, they were fake plastic toy knives. Oh, and that store is actually getting a whole bunch of business as a result of that. That's kind of neat. Okay, well, yeah, free Britney. She can be free. Oh shit, she's dancing again. She's dancing in a bikini at her house. Oh, and she's not the same age she was when she used to do that original dance. She's a different age now. Yeah, maybe lock her up. I don't know. I know I'm flip-flopping on this one, but yeah, maybe she shouldn't be in control of her own body. It's kind of tough. It's a tough thing,
Thank you so much for watching, everybody. Can you please hit the like and subscribe button and maybe leave a comment? It really does help the videos out. But first, the people who produce everything you see before you and make this entire channel possible: Amazing Fletch, Anna Loves Riley, Ariane McCarthy, Cheryl Alvarez, Doug Caddy, Everything Important, Hagbard Celine, Multimondi, Omni, Peanut Butter Blondie, Political Puppy, Quiet 185, Rachel K, Riley and Anna, Roller Dragon, Ruby K, Cernicus, Spinach Monster, Stellar Vision, Sebastian Demel, Trevbot.exe, Words Greenwood, and Travis McClinton. And also, thank you to every other person who helps fund this show. Their names are on the screen right now. It would not be possible without every single one of them. We cannot thank you enough. And if you want to join the Patreon, please come to patreon.com/theserfs and help us exist.